Welcome to my channel. My name is Ral, aka Loveglam, and if this is your first time on my channel, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe, please. Join the family, sis. We're waiting for you. And also don't forget to click the bell notification so that you will know when I upload new videos. And if you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting me. I appreciate you very dearly. So let's jump right into it. So I'm sure you're here because you're trying to braid your own hair using the rubber band method, or even trying to braid your own hair, period, because I do have some tips that don't necessarily apply to just the rubber band method. I'm gonna walk you guys through tips and tricks, basically from prepping the hair, the process of braiding the hair, maintaining and caring for the hair. Basically, from what you guys saw from the beginning, the hair looks gorgeous. It turned out really nice. But sis, I made a fair share of mistakes trying to braid this hair myself. So I want to walk you guys through it so you guys don't make the same mistakes. So let's jump into the prepping phase. So you're ready to braid your own hair. You are pumped. You're like, I got this. And you want to obviously stretch the braiding hair because you want it to be feathered at the end like this. What I would suggest is stretching the hair the day or night before. Because sis, I try to do it on the same day and it took me like a whole 4 hours to stretch like 3 packs of hair, and I was not having that. So take your time, stretch it, detangle it and whatnot, and that way the next morning you wake up, you're fresh, you're rejuvenated, and you're ready to start braiding your hair, because the braids alone already take forever, so you don't want to add more hours to that. And the second thing I want to speak on is the itch. It will itch the living bloody bejesus out of you. So to avoid that, although I didn't do it, like I said, these are mistakes that I made that I don't want you to make. So I'm telling you, I'm giving you tips. Soak it in apple cider vinegar. So wash it with apple cider vinegar, so that way when you put it on your actual natural hair, it's not gonna dry out and itch your scalp. Essentially, what itches you when you get braids is because the synthetic fiber is too dry, so it dries out your actual natural hair, and then the scalp is on fire and you just want to rip off your entire head, because that was me. Like, my braids are a week old now, and all week I wanted to rip off my scalp. So when you stretch it, you soak it for a little bit, like maybe like 30 minutes, and then you bring it out and then you let it air dry for the next day. Trust me, that goes a very long way, and I would definitely be doing that the next time I braid my own hair. Tip number 3, if you're using the rubber band method, this applies to you. If not, it does not apply to you. So before you start combing out your hair, parting it and all that stuff, bring a little jar and put all of your rubber bands in there, and then it's ideal to soak it in olive oil or coconut oil. When I was doing my own braids, I had argan oil, so I soaked it in argan oil. So essentially whatever oil you have will do, but generally it's advisable to soak it in coconut or olive oil. Put it in the jar and I squirted some argan oil on it, and I just let it be. So by the time I figured out how I wanted to part my hair and everything, it had already gotten a head start on soaking. So when you do that, the elastic is not going to dry out and snap on you when you're trying to twist it, and then also it's not going to dry your roots or your natural hair. Don't just go from the pack and try to do it, girl. You're gonna suffer. So don't do that. Don't do that to yourself, girl. Okay, so now we're going to move to the process of actually braiding the hair. So let go. Do you see me? Quarantine has me all the way messed up. Hair looking like, whoa. Anything is better than this matted ish right now, because I look like a crazy woman. So we're gonna go wash this hair. This is what it looks like now after it's been washed and treated and all that good stuff. Gonna go stretch it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's all stretched out. The back is way shorter than the front. So we're gonna get right into it. But before we actually get to that phase, make sure you have a lot of patience, girl, because it's gonna take a really long time. It will take a really long time. This took me 18 hours, but then that also included stretching the hair. So without the stretch, maybe like 14, 15 hours. So make sure you have enough time. So that being said, let's move on to the braiding phase. Things you're going to need: braiding hair, beeswax. I can't really, hopefully y'all see that. Some clips, obviously, and then a crochet for anchoring the braid hair into your short hair. I'm going to show you guys how. You will need rubber band, of course, because this is a rubber band method, and you want to soak it in oil. So basically olive oil would be best, or coconut oil. I have argan oil, so I'm going to use argan oil. This is just to hydrate the rubber band and make sure it doesn't break, as well as it doesn't break your hair. So I'm just squirting a whole bunch of oil in here. So as I go, I'm just gonna go in here and pick out the band. So right now, they're just swirling in there. So we're gonna let that sit. You'll need your comb. Rat tail comb is ideal. I can't find my rat tail comb for the life of me, so I'm going to be using this. I try to sharpen the bottom to be sharp, so bear with me. Okay, so good morning, guys. By the time I was done stretching the hair, it was way too late for me to start braiding, so I went to bed. Now it's bright and early. Before we get into it, I just wanted to mention, for extensions, or rather braiding hair, if you can buy pre-stretched, pre-layered, that would be ideal, because these ones took me forever to stretch out. But what I did was, for the back, basically from the nape of my neck all the way to maybe about my ear, I will be using the shorter version because I wanted it to layer. So what I did was, for the back part, I cut the braiding hair expression into 3 equal parts, and then I stretched it. This took forever, not even gonna lie. And then for the front, what I did was cut the braiding hair just into 2, and I also stretched it. So when we get to the front, you'll see it will be a bit longer than this, so that way it layers and falls nicely. I'm not a hairstylist or a hair guru, so we're really just doing this together, okay? So let's get started. I have my mirror over there. Hopefully that will help me. Okay, so another mistake that I made was parting my hair too chunky, because my hair is very short. So if your hair is longer, you can afford to part it on the chunkier side, because by the time you use the beeswax, you can thin it out and then it will blend beautifully. But because my hair is pretty short, it was really difficult. So don't part your hair super thick if your hair is as short as mine. One thing I also want to add in there is, don't worry too much about the neatness, especially for the back. You have all the time in the world to make it neater when you come to the front, and they're like box braids, so you end up covering the parting at the back anyway. So don't sweat it, don't lose sleep over it. Okay, so now I'm parting the hair, and I used a lot of beeswax to tame my hair, so make sure you use a lot of beeswax to make sure that the parting stays in place. And I wrapped the rubber band about 5 to 6 times around my hair. Now the mistake I made, because I couldn't see the back, was grabbing the hair too low, as you guys could see. So moving forward, I try to center my grab. So make sure you center your grab, don't grab it too low. You see how low that is, so don't do that, okay? Center it. So here I tried to anchor the braid. So I took a little piece of hair and I crocheted it into my hair, and then I was going to do the crisscross method for the braiding hair in order to grip and braid, but I experienced so much difficulty. So this is me crisscrossing it, and you will see how much difficulty I experienced. So moving forward, what I did after I noticed that gripping was not a thing for me was I went back and I thickened the anchor braid. So I kind of made it one leg of the crisscross, if that makes sense. So now all I had to do was use one strand and just anchor that in my root, and basically use that to braid my hair. And I found this method to be more effective and easier for me, especially for gripping, stating the fact that I'm not a professional braider and I cannot see the back of my head. So hopefully you guys do this, and hopefully you find this a lot easier than actually anchoring. So after I succeeded with this technique, I went back and I took off all the little mini anchor braids crocheted in. So you guys will see me take those off eventually. So basically braiding the hair, and as you can see, because I parted the hair too thick, it did not quite blend, but the more we move forward, you will see that we got better with the blending. So here I took away all the little pieces of anchor and I just continued the new method that was a lot easier for me. So you crochet in the braid, make sure it's equal. You take one piece, you don't need to cross it, and you basically anchor it right at the root, and then use that anchored braid in into your real hair as the third leg of the braid, and you begin to braid. So again, because this was parted too thick, I had issues blending my real hair into the braid hair. When I started parting my hair a lot thinner than this, it was a little easier to blend my natural hair in. Okay, so here you guys can see I parted the hair a lot more thinner, and I also centered my grab instead of pulling it down. So now my blending of my natural hair was a lot better. Again, I'm not a professional braider. I'm just telling you guys, if you see this braid, you'll see that my natural hair is no longer peeking out like the rest of the braids. So honestly, you live and you learn. So here's the progress. It looks much better than how we began, for sure. So for the front of the hair, I sectioned it in a U part because I wanted a straight down center part. So once I centered it, the rest of the braids that were remaining, I basically braided it in that U-shaped pattern until I covered everything and got to the middle part. As you can see. So the rest, don't worry too much about being clean with the parting. So again, I crocheted in the thick hair piece, made sure that it was equal, and soaked it in beeswax. This is one thing that helped a lot. Basically put in a lot more beeswax to blend my natural hair in. And then I took a piece of hair just like that and I braided it in, and that was pretty much it. Like, the technique was a lot easier. Very time consuming braiding your hair in general, but a lot easier than the first time that I tried the crisscross method. And also make sure when you're twisting your hair to grab it close to you that you twist it in the right direction. I kind of suffered a little bit with that, so I ended up changing the shape of the braids, but that's okay. Just twist it to grab it in the right direction. This right here is me showing you guys really quickly how to attach extra braiding hair to get the length to match if you cut it wrongly, because sis, I did cut my wrongly, I'm not gonna lie. I basically did the back, I cut it in 3, and then I did the middle, I cut it in 3 as well, and I wanted to do the front just 2 cuts. But what I should have done is cut the back in 3 like I did. Once I got to the quarter section, cut it in 2 and then complete the rest of the head. So I found that by the time I was in the quarter section / almost in the middle, I was running out of hair and it was a little shorter compared to the back. So if you make a mistake, don't fret. Use this method to add more hair to the braiding hair so that way you meet the length target that you're aiming for. And here you use some beeswax to blend the ends, and that's pretty much it. So now we're gonna move on to styling it and soaking it in hot water. As you can see, the front is a lot cleaner, and that's all that matters to me, to be honest. And you can see the different pattern of the braids because I twisted it weirdly. So now we're pretty much done the braiding part. Let's move on to the styling part. Usually when you get your braids done professionally, they trim off any of the layout or any of the hair that is peeping through. What they don't tell you when you're braiding your own hair is that it's very difficult to do to do that. So I didn't do that. I tried to like snip in the front and on top and wherever else I could see, but I was very scared to start snipping, trying to trim it if I just spent 15 hours on it, and next thing you know, I'm gonna snip a braid in half and then now I have to start over. So do yourself a favor and just know that you're gonna be okay with not trimming it. But that's where the mousse comes in, because the mousse will help kind of like calm it down. Like, trim it as much as you can, of course. Don't go completely untrimmed, but just know that you're not going to be able to trim it to the satisfaction that you want or the professional satisfaction, but that's okay too. with soaking it in hot water, I sectioned it out in 4 different parts, so 2 parts on each side, and I went in and I soaked it with hot water, and for each section I soaked it twice. So I basically did the whole shebang like this, and then I took the towel and I made sure that when I'm drying it out, I'm stretching it in order to straighten the braids and make it straighter instead of curvy from when you were braiding it. So I did the same thing to all 4 sections. Then I went back, then I redid it again the second time. So each section was dipped in hot water twice. And then again, drying it out, and you're stretching out the braids in order to straighten it. So that way it's not curvy at the bottom, like I said. And for the top of your head, because obviously you can't put water on your scalp, what I did was, because the towel was essentially hot, I didn't show this on camera, but I just placed the towel on the actual top of my head and I just pressed it down in order to flatten the braids on the top of my head as well. And then I go in with mousse, and basically the mousse helped set and put in place all of the flyaways that I was not able to trim because I told you guys it's not easy to trim your own braids. So this I would recommend tying it down. I didn't tie mine down. So I went in with oil and I just finished the styling. So tie it down after the mousse before you put the oil. That's what I would recommend. And that's pretty much it. The braid's done, girl. 15 hours later, we did it. We did it! Congratulations, you braided your hair is popping. You should be very proud of yourself, because sis, I was very proud of myself when I finished. Now when it comes to maintenance, maintain your hair, maintain your braids, okay? Mine, like I said, is a week old, and in the past week I have not worn a bonnet with it. I have not tied it up. It's not good. That's not good. Don't do that. Don't make that mistake. Tie up your hair at the end of the night, and if it's too thick to all wrap up, at least tie the top part of it. That way it doesn't get frizzy on you and then the hair doesn't come out. So I didn't tie mine for a week, so when I was about to start filming this part of the video, I had to snip again. And what I did was I put some beeswax over some of the braids, and then I put the mousse, and then I tied it down. So it calmed it down a little bit and it made it look neat again. So if you're like me and you forget to tie it up, I didn't forget, I was just lazy, but if you don't tie it up, that's also a way to kind of revamp your braids and make it look fresh again. But please just tie up the front part if anything. And another thing that I would suggest for maintenance is oiling your scalp. I got my boyfriend to oil my scalp like 2 days ago because, like I said, it was so itchy that I wanted to rip off my scalp. And I think that's pretty much it. All the mistakes I made, I made sure to let you guys know how to fix them, and you guys saw the progress and how I started off very questionably and how it turned out very well. And I'm very proud and very satisfied with how it turned out, considering that this is basically my second time braiding my hair my entire life. Like I said, I'm not a professional braider, but yeah, this was just to protect my natural hair in this quarantine season. So if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a comment below. And if you're going to braid your own hair, leave a comment below as well. Let me know if there are any other things that I missed, and we can all help each other down below. Good luck. Go slay them braids, girl, because I have faith in you. You got this, okay? Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Join the family, sis. I'm waiting. Join them now. Until next time, have a happy Sunday. Bye, guys.